We're here with EJ Moreland, the lead designer for APB.
Give me that biggies, give me that smalls, give me that spray paint, give me those walls, give me those doors, give me that kinks, take the crowd to the brink. Give me that dive, give me that paint, give me those chemicals, give me that slugs. Give me that work, give me that paint, give me that work.
I've heard it called an MMO, but it's really not an MMO. I mean, if you had to classify it for a genre, what would you call it?
Online action game.
Online action game. Well, it's definitely
Pretty much keeping it simple, persistent.
cool.
Online action game.
Well, off the bat, I just want to say it's a great concept because you're basically making like an online game of the scenario that like every little kid plays. You know, like cops versus robbers,
Enforcers versus criminals. But
enforcers
yes,
and criminals.
the basic theme is good guys, bad guys in a kind of city environment.
It's a completely different setting than any other PC MMO. Do you think the PC market is ready to embrace something other, but besides fantasy and science fiction?
I think so. I mean, obviously, contemporary games do sell on the PC. I'm sure Rockstar would agree with that. I'm sure
Yeah.
other people would agree with that as well. So I think what the PC has always been strong at is online, especially persistent online, the MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, EverQuest 2, all the different MMOs that have been out there. And they've done science fiction, they've done fantasy, they've dabbled in a few other things. And you've seen a little bit of the contemporary stuff, but really nothing urban, nothing with kind of player versus player, with the real conflict that we have in the game.
Does it still look like APB is going to be a PC only kind of thing? Is there an Xbox chance?
There's certainly PC only for release. Now, after release, depending on where we want to go with it, we've certainly talked to a few people, but there's no solid plans at this point.
And now you said you can get it through Steam and other direct buy, EA Online, and in stores.
Absolutely, it'll be at point of sale retail, just like every other PC game. It'll also be available for digital and some of the larger ones. Obviously, Steam, EA Online Store, and I'm sure there'll be others we'll announce.
And now, from what we saw of you playing the game, missions seem to come together in a really dynamic fashion. Like criminals are committing crimes, and there's APBs issued to enforcers to go out and get them. Would you like to talk a little bit about how a player gets a mission and how that kind of structure works?
Certainly. So when a player comes into the world and actually gets into an action district, they really have two choices that kind of blend seamlessly together. You can go out in the world and do your own thing, which is what we call open world activities. As a criminal, go out, mug a civilian, steal a car, ram raid a shop front, turn in your loot for money at a fence. As an enforcer, you go out in the world, you actually keep the city safe. You're right. Your job is to go out there and patrol and stop these crimes from happening. At the same time, if you really don't know what you want to do, or you really don't want to just kind of be open-ended, you go up to one of your contacts and they'll start offering you missions. And you can either work for all of them by just sitting around waiting for them to ask you to do stuff, or you can go up and pledge and you'll work for that individual contact. Once you're in a mission, it's much more structured. It's really much more about very kind of serialized objectives. Go here, do this, then go here, do this. It does branch or change based on whether you are currently in an active match or whether it's actually looking for a match at the time. As soon as you actually get opposition in a match, then it actually changes to much more PvP-oriented objectives.
What sort of mission types are we going to see? Sort of like escort kind of missions? Or
Certainly you'll have the wide range. What you'll see mostly if criminals start the mission are missions about destruction, bombings, arsons, robberies, burglaries, things like that. If enforcers start missions, it's generally either going and raiding existing criminal hideouts, and by that I mean fictional kind of setting hideouts, not necessarily real player hideouts. We don't have those yet, although you never know when that might happen. You have the full range. You have territory control, you have escorts, you have simple smashing, you have go to target, destroy target, go to target, pick something up, take it somewhere else, keep it away from the opposing side. So you have a really wide range of different objectives. They're all very simple and they're meant to be. The idea is that most of the activities in the game are interactive with the F key, what we call the action key, which you can remap. It's just default F.
Sure.
And the idea is that we want the mission interactions to be simple, but we want to be complex as the actual combat.
Is there anything you can tell me about the pricing structure for the game, like monthly fees, anything like that? Or
So currently all we can really say is there will not be a subscription requirement, and that we won't be doing traditional microtransactions. We should be announcing more about that in the near future.
Now, the player doesn't really choose a class in this game. It doesn't really level up in a traditional kind of way. Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Certainly. We have about 5 different paths of progression. We have what we call contacts and organizations, and that's all about relationship building. When you work for a contact, you level a relationship with that specific contact. As you work for that contact, you're also working for the organization they belong to. So anytime you're working for a contact at the same organization, you're leveling that specific contact and the organization they belong to, and each one gives different rewards at different points.
Okay.
On top of that, we have what we call roles, which a lot of people see similar as classes, but the difference is you don't pick it. It basically measures when you do activities that correspond to that role. So for example, as a criminal, if you steal lots of vehicles, you go up in the car thief role. The idea being the more cars you steal, the more prominent you are as a car thief. You also get rewards for that, and that has its own kind of leveling path. In addition, we have what we call achievements, which if you're familiar with any of the other achievement systems out there on the consoles or in other games, very similar. Specific one-off events or even a series of one-off events that's cumulative. We actually give you physical rewards for that in the game as well. So when you unlock the achievement that does this, you may get a decal, you may get a piece of clothing, you may even get a weapon for it. And then lastly, we have leagues. And leagues are your kind of ongoing competitive progression. The idea being that you're on a world with 10,000 other people at the same time, 100,000 probably total in the community itself for that world. And every day, every week, and every month, you're competing against those people for the top 3 spots, which also get significant rewards, like statues in their name, really premier weapons, or really premier vehicles, etc.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of really cool social aspects, both related to like the physical character customization and also the audio and the music that you can play in the game.
Absolutely.
Like, would you tell us a little bit about the Last FM feature?
Sure. So what we have what we call music matching, and the idea is we've partnered with Last FM. They provided their kind of heuristics for matching genres and artists and different types of music together. So when you import your own music library, you can actually broadcast that in the world through your car stereo, through a jukebox, and if the other players at the other end have the same song that they've imported in their library, they'll hear it. If they don't, it'll search their library for something similar based on the Last FM matching. If you can't find anything, then it'll find something out of our original pre-licensed track.
Like I said, the physical character customization is really great. Like in one of the trailers, we saw a bunch of enforcers who had their characters decked out, like cops with big mustaches and aviators, like in the Beastie Boys Sabotage video. So you could potentially like roll down the street dressed like those guys, like blasting that song. And if other players have that song, they'll hear it. If not, they'll hear some other hip hop song.
Right.
That's really cool.
Or even another Beastie Boys song.
Yeah, and then there's also voice chat where you can speak over a mic and players within earshot would hear this, right?
Right. So the default behavior is whenever you're in a group, you always have a group channel that you're heard in. Mm-hmm. You can choose to talk in your clan channel, which is much like a guild in MMORPGs. And then anytime you're speaking, unless you specifically choose not to, you're speaking in the world just like a normal human being. So anyone around you is going to hear what you say. So when you get shot and you decide it's time to let loose a few insults at the guy who just shot you, he's likely going to hear it if he's close enough.
There's also an in-game video recorder.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes. So we have the ability to just press a button and it starts recording from the point that you press the button from, or you can go in the options and set up what we call the awesome button. And the goal behind the awesome button is you always miss that moment because it happens and then you say, oh, I should have been recording that, because no one wants to record all the time. You don't have enough disk space.
Yeah.
So what the awesome button does is when you set that up in the options and your system can support it with enough memory, etc., when you hit the button, it actually is buffered the last 30 seconds, so you never miss that moment.
We saw the character designer, and there's just an insane level of detail that you can go at. I mean, you can choose a scar, you can choose how old or fresh that scar is, you can choose a shirt, and you can choose whether or not to tuck it in. And now, I've heard before in some of your press things that you think some people in these clans will be valued not just for their, their game abilities, but, as good designers. People will want, good designers who can make cool stuff for their gangs.
Absolutely. We've already seen that happen in the beta. So I don't know if anyone's seen the PAX East trailer in your audience, but certainly if you notice there's a group shot there of a bunch of guys in yellow and black that says Wasp. That's actually a beta clan. We actually took their assets and their characters and used those in that video. So that was all player created.
Well, I think there's a huge amount of potential for this game as far as, what people will invent with it and what you guys will invent with it. And I think there will be a lot of communication between those two communities.
Absolutely. I think if you like to create or you like conflict, the game's there for you.
Great. Well, I'm really looking forward to getting to review this. Thanks for your time, EJ.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.